It's new. It's different. It's the Business Forum every Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock with your host, communications specialist Sandrine Rattan. Find out what's going on in our various sectors and industries which impact positively on the socio-economic landscape both locally and regionally.
This Tuesday's guest, the Honourable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Business Forum with Sandrine Rattan, brought to you in part by the Chagaramas Development Authority, exclusively on Power 102.1 FM.
All right, and yes, it is time for the Business Forum, and of course, as the pro said, we have Sandrine coming inside. Sandrine, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Sir Charles. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago, and to our listeners on the World Wide Web. Special good afternoon to our CARICOM neighbors out there in St. Vincent the Grenadines who are tuned into the program at this time.
You know, Sandrine, before you actually go any further in between here, you know, when I heard you had this guest coming in today, I was so excited because I thought I would have had him here in person. But yeah, we have him on the phone. But
at a later date, perhaps. I'll allow him to say that. Just to recap quickly from last week's program, my guest was Patricia Francis, Executive Director of the International Trade Center in Geneva, Switzerland, and she shared with us quite a bit in terms of the specific role played by the ITC, particularly in the areas of collaboration with the private sector, trade support institutions, and other policymakers in developing nations. However, this afternoon we have yet another interesting program lined up for you, and we will obtain a deeper insight into the socio-economic environment of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And my guest is the Honourable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But before joining the Honourable Prime Minister on the line, allow me to share a brief profile on him. Dr. Gonsalves was educated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the Colonial Roman Catholic School and at the St. Vincent Boys Grammar School. He later completed a bachelor's degree in economics at the University of the West Indies. They obtained several noteworthy accolades, including President of the Debating Society and the President of the Guild of Undergraduates in 1971. He obtained a master's degree in government from UWI in 1974, and in 1981 he obtained a PhD in government and a degree of Author Barrister at the University of Manchester, England, and Gray's in London, respectively. Dr. Gonsalves became the deputy political leader of the Unity Labour Party in 1994, the ULP, a merger of the St. Vincent the Grenadines Labour Party and the Movement for National Unity, a political party which at the time of the merger, Dr. Gonsalves was the leader. Won the St. Vincent Grenadines general elections held on March 28, 2001. At the time of the elections, Dr. Gonsalves had since been elected to political leader of the ULP, and as such he became the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the same date, March 28, 2001. He has remained Prime Minister since then, winning the elections again in December 2005. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So we go straight in line now to Honourable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Prime Minister, good afternoon and welcome to the Business Forum. You are live on Power 102 FM in Port of Spain, Trinidad. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sandrine, and good afternoon to all your listeners and my brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago and everyone who is listening on the internet.
Thank you. Prime Minister, a number of major developmental projects are currently being undertaken by the private sector in St. Vincent at this time. But I'd like us to start our discussions on the Bukuma Resort, which is a major project earmarked to add 800 quality hotel rooms to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Is this facility expected to be a significant revenue earner in terms of business tourism?
Absolutely. On mainland St. Vincent, we have very small family-type hotels.
Okay.
This is the first big hotel we are having. As you say, some 800 rooms, cabanas plus hotel rooms and apartment rooms at the same site.
Okay.
And you can imagine what this would do in terms of employment, certainly revenue generation for the value-added tax.
Yes.
And a range of ancillary services where we are going to have spin-offs
Okay.
from any hotel of that magnitude.
Okay. in terms of completion, Prime Minister, how far away is it in terms of the hotel being completed?
I've been advised that in June next year, the first phase of the hotel and the cabanas would be opened. In fact, they're ramping up the numbers of persons employed. Yesterday morning, they recruited, I've been told, over 50 skilled artisans, carrying the numbers of employed persons to in excess of 400 on the site currently. And to within another 2 weeks, they would reach up to 720, plus a quarry which would hire another 40 persons permanently. So you would see that we are fortunate that despite the downturn, that this is one entity which is not been closed down or slowed down as you have had in several other countries, including St. Lucia. I have been told in the Bahamas and other places, Jamaica and Turks and Caicos and so on within the Caribbean. We have been fortunate in this respect.
Okay. And later on in the program, Prime Minister, I want us to speak a little bit more about the tourism sector in terms of impact on the island.
Sure.
But another important initiative I note is the joint venture between the Canoan developers and the government for a top-end marine and property development on the southern end of Canoan. What is the current status of this particular activity and some of the key benefits expected?
Well, it's on the drawing board. What actually happens in this case is that the developers had some lands on the southern side, and so too the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And some lands were reclaimed while we were in the process of building a jet airport on Canoan, which we completed last year.
Okay.
So jets can come directly from the eastern seaboard to Canoan.
Okay.
In fact, to give you an indication, last year, for instance, at Christmas, in a 2-week period, you had over 50 private jets, apart from other jets which came on charter and so forth. For the resort which we have there already, it's a beautiful resort, one of the best tropical resorts anywhere in the world.
Okay.
It's managed by Raffles, but owned by a group out of Europe.
Okay.
So this particular project on the southern end of the island, the developed area so far is in the north. And what we are doing, well, the government and the developers began with 50-50. But of course, as other equity partners enter, the shareholdings of each of those two entities would diminish. And the idea is to build a top-of-the-line marina with ancillary facilities and real estate development in terms of apartments and the like. In fact, it would be only 5 minutes walk from the jet airport in Canoan. So you can put your knapsack on your back
Okay.
as you leave New York or Puerto Rico and simply walk and go onto your yacht.
Okay.
It's in the early stages where all the studies are being done and so on and so forth. But it is going to be a very significant development. And you have to bear in mind that on mainland St. Vincent, we have a small shipyard and ship repair facility, so that there will be synergies with another entity within St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so that they wouldn't have to come to Trinidad necessarily to do their ship repairs.
Okay. Prime Minister, could you please hold your thoughts? We take a commercial break. When we return, we would start discussing the NIPI.
Yes.
Looking for the perfect place for recreation and investment opportunities? Then come to Shagaramas. We offer a diverse range of activities, including restaurant and hotel development, sailing, hiking, eco tours, golfing, kayaking, and lots more. Call 634-4227 or visit ishagaramas.com. This ad courtesy the Shagaramas Development Authority, CDA, making Shagaramas the place to be.
And of course, this program is also being brought to you courtesy of Venture Capital also. All right, Sandrine, it's back to you.
Welcome back to the Business Forum, and if you're just joining us online, we have the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome back, Dr. Gonsalves.
Thank you very much, Sandrine.
Yes. Prime Minister, the National Investment Promotion Incorporated of St. Vincent is responsible for attracting investment in all economic sectors, and there is special emphasis on hotel development, light manufacturing, and agro-processing. What types of investments have been facilitated thus far, and also to what extent does the government become involved in the operations of the organization?
Well, it is a state agency, and I am the line minister as the minister responsible for economic development and for economic planning. There's an independent board for NIPI, and there's a highly qualified staff. We set up this entity because I really wanted to have a nimble, one-stop operation of the highest quality to attract investment and to promote the country. The NIPI has an export strategy, which it is worked on. It has an investment strategy, and it links very much with tourism, the Tourism Authority, the International Financial Services Authority, with the Ministry of Telecommunications, because they promote investment in telecommunication services. Among the big investments is that is the Bukama project. They were very involved in that from the beginning, and several others tourism projects, both on mainland St. Vincent and in the Grenadine Islands. They've been engaged. They've been doing a lot of work with the Center for Enterprise Development, which is a state entity also promoting business, promoting private sector development, and we have a specific private sector development program which is pushed through the Center for Enterprise Development and funded by both the government of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the European Union. A lot of work which we have been doing recently through NIPI has been promoting fashion designers. We've been promoting cultural artists and the like. In other words, a number of new services for bright young people. And they have a good team down at NIPI, and you probably see some of their work in Trinidad. They're making quite an impact. The chairman of that body is my budget director in the Ministry of Finance, so it's led by somebody of great quality.
Okay. Interestingly, Prime Minister, you indicated that it is branded as a one-stop shop, that the NIPI, that is, which is bridging the gap between St. Vincent the Grenadines and the investor through dynamic customer-focused strategies aimed at enhancing trade and foreign direct investment flows. But could you just share with our listeners how this process works?
Well, what happens is this, is that people will come to different ministries, or they go directly to NIPI. If they come to the different ministries, or if some people come to me, I send them to NIPI. And NIPI facilitates them from the beginning to the end with all their investment work. NIPI would help advise them on how they can get their business registered very quickly, the business plans, how they can deal with those, the question of getting planning permission for physical development, the whole range of investment issues, and setting up a business that you would have to deal with. They would handle it. If it's state lands you're on, they would interface with the chief surveyor, which is the authority for dealing with state lands. in fact, it's to help you with everything. They would interface with customs, the Ministry of Finance in relation to all the concessions, and so on and so forth.
And I guess they would be feeding you all back with reports in terms of work done.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And the people whom I have there, I mean, the chairman is in his 40s, but everybody else would be in their 30s, I would think.
Okay.
I have a bright young group of men and women, largely women.
Okay.
And they're doing a fantastic job.
Excellent. Okay, Prime Minister, St. Vincent the Grenadines has a market-based economy, bananas being the leading export product and a major source of foreign exchange earnings. And this also accounts for approximately 60% of employment.
Well, it used to, because it used to that. It's significantly less than that now.
How much is it now?
Because you see what has happened. I'm glad that you raised the issue about the importance of bananas then.
Yes.
In the old days. Bananas today account for less than 2% of our country's GDP.
Okay.
Fishing accounts for nearly 3% of GDP. So that should give you an indication as to how low banana has fallen.
Okay.
The overall agricultural sector is about 10%, 9% of GDP.
Yes.
70% of the economy now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is service-based.
Okay.
The four major employers of labor in our country today are first, the government,
Yes.
both the central government and the state sector generally, public enterprises and the like.
Yes.
Secondly, the cruise ships, on which we have a lot of people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines working, over 2,000. Thirdly, Canawan, over 1,000 persons, and Mustique, which is the Mustique company on the land of the rich and famous, the island of Mustique, which is part of our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Those are the single major employers of labor.
Okay.
So that we have come some distance, and what we are trying to do with moving from a goods-based economy to a service-based one, what we have to do now is to try and consolidate, deepen, and extend that service economy, while at the same time building a more commercial agriculture without preferences in the marketplace, and building a viable fishing industry. And that's why the international airport, which we are building at Argyle, which we have started, is so important.
Yes.
For the consolidation and expansion and deepening of the service sector. We started on August the 13th last year, and we intend to finish in the first quarter of 2012. We're a mountainous country, so we have to move one mountain, two hills, fill two valleys, and span a river in order to get the lands to build this jetport, which would be about 2,800 meters in length, just about 9,000 feet, to accommodate international jets up to 747s. Incidentally, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has made a contribution towards the construction of that airport.
Excellent.
And that's why we have gone into we have launched an education revolution, to facilitate the service sector, because, if you're going into high quality tourism, information services, the other kinds of services, accounting, banking, and the like, it means that you have to lift your manpower.
Yes.
And thus, when I came to office, when we had 39% of the 12-year-olds were at secondary school, we know how within 4 years I had 100% of the 12-year-olds at secondary schools. The St. Vincent the Grenadines of the non-campus territories were number 5 in terms of admissions at university for the non-campus territories, we are now number 1 in admissions at the University of the West Indies.
Okay.
I have students all over the world,
Okay.
I have them all over the world. I have them in Mexico, in Venezuela, in Cuba, traditional places naturally in North America, Canada, Europe. I have people in Austria, I have in Italy, I have in Morocco, I have in Turkey, I have in Malaysia, I have in Republic of China. I've now negotiated to have some in Iran and some in Libya. I'm going to every single corner of the world
Excellent.
to send my students
Excellent.
because I'm building a quality workforce with a whole set of skills and languages of different kinds.
Excellent.
Now, can you imagine in another 10 years I will have say 15 engineers who can speak. Some of them would be able to speak Chinese, some can speak Arabic, some can speak Farsi, some can speak Spanish, some can speak French. I mean, it's incredible, in addition to English.
What you're really creating is a knowledge-based economy.
Absolutely. And then we're building up the telecommunication services very well. The internet services in our schools. The education revolution is magnificent. There's no story like that one in the Caribbean for the last 30-40 years. It's an incredible story. It's happening right here, and people not telling it, and I'm glad to mention it to you. So all that is part and parcel of it. So that means when you begin to talk about the agricultural based economy, yes, agriculture is still very critical, but we the bulk of our economy now is in services. Our principal foreign exchange earner is tourism, over $300 million a year.
Yes.
So it's we have a GDP of 1.6 billion dollars, and we're talking Eastern Caribbean dollars.
Yes.
And that is the rapidity of the growth of the services has contributed significantly to the increase in the wealth of the country, the rise in per capita GDP, and because of those policies plus targeted strategic interventions, we have been able to reduce poverty and more particularly indigence very significantly.
Yes. But Prime Minister, it's quite clear to me that the tourism sector is indeed flourishing on the island. But what are some of the government's plans to ensure sustainability and viability of the sector?
Well, the issue you raise is a vital one. Tourism, by its very nature, is fickle business.
Yes.
Because something happening in the developed world, as we have now, you will see a downturn in the tourism sector.
Of course.
Then in addition to that, we have to be very careful that the tourism, particularly in these fragile islands, is environmentally sustainable. And we are putting a lot of emphasis on that. Throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but particularly in the Grenadines, where the islands are majestic, and where they're very small and their ecological systems fragile. Okay. For instance, you take the Tobago Keys. There are 5 islands which form almost a circle in a lagoon, which is fantastic for yachting.
Yes.
We allow only a certain limited number of yachts to go in at any one time. And you can't go and drop your anchor on the coral. We have a proper, particularly management regime there, and that area is a protected area, and you can't build on any of those 5 islands.
Yes.
So that your great-grandchildren, Sandrine, and my grandchildren are going to be able to go there.
Yes.
And I say your great-grandchildren and my grandchildren because I'm a little bit older than you.
Yes.
I don't know you, but I hear it in your voice. And you'll find them in a pristine condition.
Yes.
And long after I'm gone, I want people to say that Ralph was not a marauder and a despoiler of the environment.
Yes.
I want to be able to say that we have been doing development, but in a sustainable manner.
Yes.
yachting is a big form of tourism for us, and it's an area which is growing. We have excursions. Some of them come out of Trinidad, some come out of Barbados, St. Lucia, and Grenada, Martinique, Guadeloupe. Then we have our stayover visitors, and we have a different product than many other countries. In one jurisdiction, you can get rainforest on mainland St. Vincent. You can go to La Soufrière. We are doing a cross-country road, so you can go from east to west, and people can explore the interior of the country much better than hitherto. But we are doing that in a way which is environmentally sound. Yes. And then we have all the species of marine tourism.
Okay.
It's you can come to one destination and enjoy it all.
Okay.
And we have black sand beaches and we have white sand beaches.
Okay. Prime Minister, we are approaching the end of our interview. But what are some closing thoughts you would like to leave with our listening audience?
Well, first of all, I'd want Trinidadians to come and spend more money with us.
They're all hearing you.
Huh?
I said they're all listening to you.
Yeah, I want them to come. We have just finished our Gospel Fest, and we're preparing now. The bands are launching now for Carnival, which is the end of June, beginning of July.
Yes.
And I would like you to come. There's a 2-week festival.
Okay.
And I'd like them to come en masse. I know that things are tight in these days, but you need to release the pressure a little. You did so in February in Trinidad.
Yes.
Come mid-year and release some pressure in St. Vincent and enjoy yourself. Some people may decide to sail up on their yachts.
Yes.
Some may come up on boats. And I want to see a lot of people from Trinidad coming up. Okay. I know some of my brothers and sisters who play in Despers, which is my pan side. I will see them up here.
Okay, yes.
But I want to see people across the board in Trinidad, and especially those who have a fair amount of money to spend.
Okay, I'm sure they'll take up your offer.
and our carnival is very peaceful.
Okay, I understand.
And they tell me that is the second best in the Caribbean after Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want Patrick Manning get vexed with me by saying it's the best. I don't want my partner get vexed with me.
Prime Minister, it was indeed a pleasure having you on the Business Forum.
Yes.
We thank you most sincerely for taking the time off to share with us